At Christmas, my niece took a photo of my son doing dishes and posted it on Facebook. She captioned it, "The maid's kid." My sister and parents laughed. I just took my son and left. The next morning, my sister messaged, "Why can't I access the savings account?" I replied, "Because servants don't fund royalty," and cut her off. My family has always had a way of laughing at the wrong things. This Christmas, I knew things would be tense, but I came anyway. My son Jamie is only 7, and he still believes in the magic of Christmas. I wasn't going to let my sister's sharp tongue or my parents' apathy take that from him. Besides, I thought maybe this year would be different. It wasn't. Dinner was at my sister Colleen's house. Her place always looks like something out of a magazine. Big dining table, fake pine garlands, and those ridiculous wine charms no one actually needs. She never cooks. Of course, that's me. I'd arrived early, helped roast the turkey, set the table, even rewrapped 2 of her daughter's presents because she didn't like how the bows looked. And Jamie, he followed me around the whole time, trying to be helpful. He handed me towels, took out the trash, even wiped down the counters when the cranberry sauce spilled. He's that kind of kid, polite, warm, and always watching. Colleen's daughter, Riley, is 13. All expensive clothes, big opinions, and too much time on her phone. She made a comment when Jamie brought her a plate of food. "Well, aren't you just the maid's kid?" She laughed. Jamie didn't understand. I told him to go sit down. My parents heard it, said nothing. Colleen just smirked and poured herself another glass of Chardonnay. I stayed calm. That's what I do. That's what they expect. Smile, cook, serve, clean. Say thank you when they give Jamie a $20 Target gift card like it's some grand gesture after I spent hours cooking the food they're eating. After dinner, I was in the kitchen again, washing dishes. Of course, Jamie stood next to me drying them, humming quietly like he always does when he's focused. I thought it was sweet. Riley thought it was hilarious. She snapped a photo of him from behind. He had a towel over his shoulder and was standing on a little stool by the sink. I didn't know she'd taken it. I didn't know she'd posted it either, not until I heard laughter coming from the living room. My father had his phone out. My mother was grinning. Colleen was practically howling. I walked over and saw the screen. Riley had posted the photo on Facebook with the caption, "The maid's kid doing what he does best." They all saw me looking. No one said a word, just looked at me like I was supposed to find it funny too, like I was supposed to pretend it didn't sting, like I hadn't just spent all day making their holiday perfect. I didn't cry. I didn't argue. I went back to the kitchen, dried my hands, and called Jamie over. We left. No goodbyes, no drama. Just walked out the front door. At 7:13 the next morning, Colleen messaged me. "Why can't I access the savings account?" I replied. "Because servants don't fund royalty." Then I blocked her. Colleen didn't think I'd actually do it. She called me 12 times that morning. Then she tried texting from her husband's phone. Then our mom's. I ignored them all. They were panicking, and for good reason. That savings account she couldn't access was the one I set up 2 years ago when Colleen and her husband got behind on their mortgage. She came to me crying about Riley's school tuition and how they were going to lose the house. I'd quietly transferred $20,000 into a shared account, told her it was just a temporary solution, and she promised to only touch it for emergencies. She drained most of it in the first year, never paid it back. I didn't say a word because that's what they expect from me. Quiet generosity, no boundaries. But that account was still technically in my name. She just had access until I revoked it. My mom tried calling later that day. She left a voicemail saying I was overreacting, that Riley was just being a typical teenager, that I shouldn't punish everyone for one silly joke. Then she said something that made my stomach turn. "You know, your sister's not good with money. That's why we've always trusted you with the finances." Always trusted me. Not appreciated me. Not respected me. Trusted me like a tool, like a calculator, like a free financial planner who also brings stuffing and scrubs the dishes. Jamie didn't ask why we left. He just asked if we could go for pancakes. We did. I let him order 2 hot chocolates. He didn't bring up the photo. Neither did I, but I could tell it stuck with him. That night, Colleen's husband, Brian, showed up at my place. I didn't open the door at first, just watched him through the peephole. He stood there holding a bottle of cheap wine and some leftover cookies wrapped in foil, like that was supposed to undo what happened. When I finally opened it, he said they wanted to clear the air. I told him air only needs clearing when it's been poisoned. He didn't get it. He asked me to reconsider. Said Colleen was just stressed. that Riley's acting out because of internet culture, that I was being too rigid. He tried to laugh like this was all just some family hiccup. I didn't laugh. I told him he had 48 hours to move their auto payments off my accounts. Mortgage, utilities, Riley's school tuition, all of it. I wasn't covering it anymore. He turned pale. You can't do that, Kelly. I already did. I shut the door. The next morning, I saw something I hadn't expected. Riley's Facebook account was gone. Deleted. No apology, no message, just vanished. Colleen hadn't posted anything either. It was quiet, uncomfortably quiet, but not for long. By the end of that week, the silence cracked. Colleen messaged me from a new number. Just 3 words. Can we talk? I didn't answer. I let it sit there unread. She followed up with a voice message. I didn't play it. That's the thing about people like Colleen. When the money's flowing, they don't have time for you. But the moment it stops, they remember your number like it's a lifeline. On Sunday, my parents showed up unannounced. They didn't even bring Jamie a gift. My dad sat down like it was his house and asked me why I was causing problems. My mom paced in the kitchen, mumbling about family unity. Then she asked the question that made my skin crawl. Are you really going to let your own niece suffer because of a joke? They still didn't get it. I told them this wasn't about a joke. It was about years. Years of being treated like the help. Years of being told I was so strong while they piled everything on me. The babysitting, the loans, the late-night calls when Colleen forgot how math works and needed me to just take a quick look at their bank statements. My father muttered something about me being sensitive. I asked them both to leave. They didn't argue. That was new. The next day, I got another message, this time from Colleen's husband again. A photo of Riley sitting on the floor in what looked like a messy bedroom, holding a letter. He wrote, "She's trying to apply for a scholarship. Can you at least help her write the essay?" I didn't reply, not right away. Instead, I scrolled back in my phone to a note I'd written years ago. A long list of every expense I'd quietly covered. Dance classes, dental work, emergency plumber, even the hotel stay when Colleen claimed their heater broke during winter. The total was well over $40,000, and I hadn't asked for a penny back. Later that night, I saw Riley had made a new Facebook account. This one was private, but she'd sent me a friend request. I ignored it. Colleen finally broke. 2 days later, she showed up outside my office. I hadn't told her where I worked, so she must have followed me there. I saw her through the glass wall of the lobby. She looked like someone had taken the shine right off her. She didn't yell, didn't blame. She just looked at me and said, "I messed up." I didn't argue. She had. Then she said something I wasn't expecting. "You were the only one raising my daughter, right? And I didn't see it until you stopped." It caught me off guard, but not enough to forgive her. I told her I wasn't anyone's second mother anymore. And then I left her standing there outside a building she'd never visited before, realizing just how little she knew about my life because she never bothered to ask. It was strange seeing Colleen vulnerable, but I didn't trust it. People like her don't change. They adapt. When they lose something, they scramble to get it back. Not because they miss it, but because they can't stand not having control. So I stayed quiet, focused on Jamie. Took a few days off work and took him ice skating, just the 2 of us. His laugh was louder without them around. It was clearer. Then something happened I didn't expect. My dad called. Not my mom, not Colleen, my dad. And he asked me to meet him at the house. I thought about saying no, but curiosity got the better of me. I told Jamie we'd stop by for just a few minutes. We drove over in silence. When I walked in, the first thing I saw was my mom crying. She never cries. My dad sat across from her, quiet. Colleen was standing by the window, arms crossed. Brian wasn't there. Riley wasn't either. Then my dad said it. "We need to talk about the will." I froze. He said they'd spoken to their lawyer, that the family trust would be shifting, that after reviewing everything, the support I'd given, the way I'd handled things, they decided I would inherit the majority of the estate. Colleen's face didn't move. She just blinked, like she was trying to wake up. I laughed, but not because it was funny. It felt like a game. They were trying to fix things the only way they knew how, with leverage. But then my dad added something that changed the tone completely. "We're not planning on dying anytime soon. We just thought it was time the family had a reason to get along." He looked right at me. "And if anyone wants to argue about it, they can go ahead and forfeit their share entirely." My mom didn't say a word. Colleen just walked out of the room. They really thought this would fix everything. that tossing me a larger slice of the pie would undo years of being treated like a second-class citizen at every holiday, every birthday, every emergency they dumped in my lap. But instead of rejecting it, I did something they didn't expect. I smiled and said, "Thank you." And for the first time in my life, I let them sweat. The next week, things changed fast. Colleen messaged me asking if I needed help with groceries. My mom sent Jamie a Lego set with a note that said, "Just because." My dad invited me to dinner twice. They were trying so hard, and I let them. I said yes to everything, because if they wanted to play nice for the sake of money, then I was going to make sure they worked for every penny they hoped to see. But that was just the beginning. By mid-January, they were circling like vultures, except they weren't waiting for someone to die. They were trying to win someone over, me. It started small. My mom dropped off banana bread, the kind she used to make when I was 8, and she still pretended to like being a mother. She acted like it was casual, but the card she taped to the foil said, "We're so proud of you, sweetheart." My dad showed up the next day with 2 bags of mulch from my front yard and spent 3 hours raking leaves like it was some sacred ritual. He didn't even take a break. He just kept working, glancing toward the window every now and then, like he wanted to be seen, but couldn't bring himself to ask for a glass of water. Then Colleen went into full performance mode. She texted me the morning after our parents' announcement and said, "I was wondering if you wanted help with your taxes this year. I know they can be stressful." This is the same woman who once called me crying because she didn't understand how interest on a credit card worked. Now she was offering tax advice like she was suddenly certified by the IRS. I ignored her for 3 days. Then I sent back, "Actually, I could use help cleaning the garage." She was at my house by noon. Gloves, trash bags, even a label maker. Riley wasn't with her. Apparently, she'd been grounded from social media and now needed time to reflect. A polite way of saying she screwed up and Colleen was finally forced to notice. I stood in the doorway while Colleen sorted through old paint cans and tangled cords, and she didn't complain once. Not when a spider fell out of a box. Not when the dust made her sneeze. Not even when she sliced her hand open on a broken lamp. And you know what? I didn't offer a bandage. I watched her wrap her finger in a napkin from her purse and keep going, because for once, I didn't feel like helping. After that, it became a pattern. She offered. I said yes. Then I made her work for it. Vacuuming out the car, cleaning behind the fridge, dropping off and picking up Jamie from swim class. Every time she offered help, I gave her a task that used to fall on me by default. And she did them all quietly, like she was trying to scrub her past clean. Then came the kicker. She asked if I needed someone to watch the house while I treated myself. She said it like it was her idea, like she wasn't just trying to inch closer to the imaginary throne she thought she'd been knocked off of. I didn't hesitate. I booked 5 nights in Scottsdale for Jamie and me. Resort-heated pool, fresh juice, and glass bottles. I left a note with instructions on the counter before we left. Bring in the mail, water the plants, trash goes out Thursday, clean the baseboards, all of them. Thank you. Smiley face. When we got back, Colleen was waiting in my driveway like an employee waiting for her final evaluation. She handed me the keys and said she'd organize my pantry while she was at it. I smiled and told her that was sweet. Inside, I found beans stored next to cereal, peanut butter tucked between garlic powder and cinnamon sticks. It looked like chaos, but I didn't fix it. I left it just to see if she'd notice next time. Jamie went upstairs to unpack. I stood alone in my kitchen, staring at a woman-made mess in a pantry I hadn't asked to be touched, and realized something. They weren't even hiding it anymore. Every fake smile, every offer to help, every slice of banana bread. It was all for the inheritance. And that's when my grandparents called. They invited me over, just me, Jamie too, but no one else. I thought maybe they wanted to talk about the estate again, or maybe they were worried things had gone too far. But the moment I sat down, my grandmother handed me a cup of tea and said, "You're handling this better than we expected." I asked what she meant. She smiled. "We're not dying, Kelly, not even close. But it's been fun watching them act like we are. Keep going. Have some fun with it. They'll figure out who you really are when it's too late." I sat back in that chair, stunned. They weren't passing down an inheritance, they were passing me the steering wheel. And suddenly I knew exactly what to do next. After that conversation with my grandparents, something shifted in me. I'd spent my whole life trying to be the good one, the dependable one, the quiet fixer, and they all used that. They drained me until there was nothing left. And when I stopped bleeding for them, they acted like I was the problem. But now I had power, and I wasn't giving it back. The first thing I did was test just how far Colleen would go. I told her I was considering moving and needed someone to stage the house while I looked at properties. She showed up with throw pillows, candles, and a fake fiddle leaf fig. She took 2 days rearranging furniture, steam cleaning rugs, and wiping down picture frames. Then she offered to host Jamie's birthday party. She said it would be her treat, said she wanted to make things right. I agreed, and I gave her a theme Jamie hadn't even asked for: pirates. She rented decorations, filled goodie bags, even made cupcakes shaped like little boats, all on her dime. At the party, she stood by the drinks table with a forced smile while Jamie ran around in an eye patch and told people she was just happy to be part of the celebration. He even cleaned up after. Later that week, I called her and said I was taking a week-long trip and needed someone to stay at the house again. I didn't tell her where I was going, but I made sure to leave a longer list this time. Clean out the gutters, organize the garage tools, wash the windows inside and out, deep clean the oven, touch up paint on the back fence, feed the neighbor's cat. He likes tuna, not kibble. Trim the hedges, and please fix the pantry. It's still a disaster. She replied, "Of course, happy to help." Smiley face. While she scrubbed and trimmed and fed someone else's cat, Jamie and I were in Colorado. Cabin, firewood, no cell signal, just snow and silence. When I got back, the hedges were perfect. So was the oven. I sent her a thank you text and asked if she'd be available again next month. She responded in 2 minutes. Of course, anytime. My mom and dad weren't far behind. My mom started calling every Sunday, not to lecture, just to check in. She dropped off soup when she thought I was sick, offered to pick Jamie up from school, even brought over a folder labeled College Ideas. My dad started inviting me to coffee shops and asking if I wanted to revisit the family budget, like we were on the same team now. I let them do it all. One morning, my mom asked if I needed help preparing for the spring fundraiser at Jamie's school. I gave her 3 assignments and told her it was important that everything be done by next Thursday. It wasn't due until the end of next month, but she did it anyway. They were all dancing to a rhythm they thought would lead to money. They still believed the inheritance announcement had been real, and maybe someday it would be, but for now, it was just a leash, and I held it. The best part, Riley started calling me Aunt Kelly again, respectfully. She even wrote Jamie a note apologizing. She said she realized she'd been cruel, that she wanted to be a better cousin. I believed her, but I didn't forget. So when Colleen texted one evening and said, "Hey, would it be okay if Riley helped out around your house too? She could use the discipline," I said yes. I handed her a broom the next day and told her to start with the porch. And as I watched her sweep leaves off the steps, I couldn't help but think, funny how things work out. The maid's kid doesn't scrub the floors anymore, but her daughter does.